so much. Thank you. It is such an honor to be here and speak with you today. And thank you. Thank you. I'm very touched. Thank you. Thank you so much. I am so grateful for that. And when Warren called me and asked me if I would be interested in coming to speak to you, I was very interested in coming to speak with you. But unfortunately, or fortunately, Haddon Elementary was having a backpack giveaway. And every student got a backpack at Haddon Elementary. And so I did not want to miss that because that was amazing. So he and MJ moved the schedule around, and I was able to come today. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity to speak with you. And I'm honored to follow Leon Jenkins. And it's important, I tell everyone that one of my first legal internships was at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. And it was such an honor to work with people like Connie Rice and Molly Munger and Bill Lee. And there's so many people who care so much about where our system is going, our education system, and how our students are treated. And so it's an honor to work with people and to listen to Leon. That was great. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about my race, because I would not be here without you. And so I wanted to let you know that I was a chapter chair for many years, and it is hard, hard work. And you are asked every month to go to area meetings, and then you're asked to spread the word, and you're asked to motivate the teachers at your area, in your school, and you're asked to do so much. And I remember sitting actually at one of these meals myself, and people were getting up here and saying, you need to do this and you need to do that because you are our future. And you are. But I want you to recognize that I know how hard it is to be told again and again what you need to do. And so I just want to recognize that. I also want to say that it was because of my experience as a teacher in the classroom, again and again, having to deal with district mandates coming down, that I felt were so disconnected from the classroom and the school. And at the end of the day, I would sit in my classroom and I would think, I love this job. I love teaching, and I know all of you do too, or you would not be teaching. And I would think to myself, though, but how can I continue? How can I continue teaching in this world, in this system, where I am so devalued and people have no way of listening to me? No one hears me, and we try so hard. And as I was a union member at the time, I would think our union tries so hard, and yet for some reason, we're not being listened to. And I sat at a central area meeting, and it was Jose Lara who said that Nuri Martinez was not running for school board. And literally, this was a couple days before the filing deadline, and I sat there in the central area meeting, and I pulled out my phone, and I looked, how do you run for school board? And I looked, and it turns out you just file a declaration of intent. So I went down, I filed a declaration of intent, and my race began. And the race was extremely difficult and very hard. And I would not have been able to do it without support. And in particular, I wanted to mention a few people. And I can't mention everybody, or I'm sure it would be like half of the room I would be speaking, it would be here all day. But I do want to mention somebody who's actually not a union member, but Robert Skeels. I want to do a shout out to Robert Skeels. And the reason I want to do that is he donated to my campaign during the primary when he himself was running. And I just thought that was the kindest thing. And he is a man of integrity, and I so admire that. And then the Abajians, Sean and Susie Abajian, threw my first fundraiser after the general, and I really appreciated that. And David Lyle, I don't see him. Is he here? Well, David Lyle donated and walked for me several times, and I just really appreciated that. So there will be more that I'll mention throughout, but I see Dan Moran is here, and I want to do a shout out to Dan Moran, because Dan Moran was one of my biggest fans, and he stood by me over and over and over again. And I know he bothered many of you and pestered you to sign up for me, so I'm aware of that. And but I wanted to talk a little bit also about the state of education as I've seen it from the Board of Education. Because what I saw from the classroom was, wow, these people are so disconnected on the board. And do they listen to us? Do they hear us? And Bennett Kaiser came and walked for me over and over and over again. And he was with me on election night. And I'm telling you, there are board members, obviously, you can see them, who do listen to us. So in that case, why are changes not occurring? Why is there not more teacher-friendly mandates and so forth, things that really seem to listen to us? And again, I think that in many ways, Mr. Nelson is correct. We need the community to be listening to us, because it is not enough actually for a board member to say, I want this or I want that. We have to show that it's going to improve education for our students and improve our communities. And the people who will help us do that are the people in our communities. And so I was actually very excited when the initiative was passed around last year, and there was this idea of the schools that our children deserve. I was like, wow, if we do this, this is going to make a big difference, because it is all about our children and our students. For without them, we wouldn't be here. And I think that it's really important for us to spread the word that we love them and that we are here for them. And the thing is, I know you are, because I know I was, and I would look around my school, and people would be there after hours working in their classrooms. They would be thinking about their students, they would be lesson planning, they would be grading work. There is so much that you already do. And so the question is, how do we spread that? How do we get that out there? Because when I was out there talking to people, what I found is that people actually have a fair amount of affection for teachers. And we hear all the time about these like studies that come out and people saying that they care about teachers. But I'll be honest with you, people have a fair amount of distrust for labor. And it's an issue, it's a problem, and I think we need to recognize it. Because if we don't recognize it, it will be our undoing. Because the reality is that when we look at why do people have issues with labor? Okay? We need to honestly address some of those things that they bring up. So one of the things that I heard repeatedly was, what about those bad teachers? As if the bad teachers were everywhere, okay? Now we actually know that there are very few bad teachers, okay? But we must acknowledge that there are some less effective teachers. And so what we need to do is acknowledge it and say, how can we lift them up? So I sat in the board, in like meetings with the district, and I said, I want to support our teachers. It is important to me that there be professional development that supports our teachers. And so if there's a problem, we say, we have the professional development to lift you up. It is extremely important to me that we do that. But I can't do that without your help. I can't do that without you saying, it's true, we need professional development. Because professional development is not the sexiest, most glamorous wording ever, okay? Nobody loves professional development. People don't run on that, right? They run on improving schools, cutting bureaucracy. Nobody says more professional development, okay? But the reality is that that is the solution. So I just wanted to get your help in moving those things forward. Now, I also think that we need to address some of these issues by dealing with legislature. So, as you know, as some of you probably have discussed, hopefully this weekend, the LAUSD versus the LA Times ruling came out recently. And this is the ruling about basically the release of AGT data to the LA Times. Yeah, no, I hear you. And I read the court's ruling the other day. And, you know, what it basically, the judge's ultimate feeling was, hey, you guys need to change this with the legislature. And so I was thinking, you know, when I used to sit there, I would think to myself, when people would talk about that, that's got to be so hard. How do we change things with legislature? I mean, we try so hard as a union. When I was a union member, I would think that. You know, we've got PACE, and we try. But the reality is, I've been speaking now. I've been talking to people, like Congressman Cardenas and Councilman Felipe Fuentes and Mitch O'Farrell. And the reality is, they will listen to people. They will. If you, as an individual, write a letter, make a phone call, try to set up a meeting, the reality is they will hear that. They will listen to that. And so I would encourage you to encourage your friends, not just teachers, I'm just talking about everybody, your friends to do things like that. Send letters, make calls, and just realize that you are heard. You are. So I wanted to make sure I put that out there. And then I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you can do that's easy, okay? Because I know you're really busy. And so one of the things I think you can do that's really easy is invite board members to your schools. Invite the board members to come and speak at your schools and to visit with your teachers, because what we need to do is we need to put a spotlight on all of the wonderful work that you're doing. We need to remind people of how amazing you are. And the way we do that is we come and we visit you and we say, oh my gosh, I saw this amazing teacher today and they were doing this, that, and the other thing. And they are important. And so I would ask that you invite us, and it's important to demand that the board members show up, not just staff. I mean, staff is nice, but what you really want is the board member coming. The other thing I would say is stay in contact with us. This iPad rollout is coming. And the reality is that it's here. It was voted on, it's moving forward, and what we need is for you, if you're open to that, to stay in contact with us. Let us know what's going wrong with it and what's going right, because that's the thing, we gotta be honest, right? Maybe there are things that go well with the iPad rollout, but if there are things that are going wrong, then we need to know it. And so I would ask that you email me, that you stay in contact with me. My email is super easy now. It's literally monica.ratliff@lausd.net. And I will listen and I will pass that information on that you send to me. Now, when I talk about staying in contact, I want to say how important it is to give you an example of where it worked. So 2 teachers who are SRLDP teachers contacted me. And they said that they'd been meeting with all of the board members and that they wanted a chance to meet with me as well to tell me their concerns. And so I invited them over and they came. And we invited someone from early education to come as well. And one of the issues they had was that there was no money to do parent conferences. Now, SRLDP is supposed to go to a 5-day program, and it used to be a 4-day program. So there would be this extra day to do parent conferences and so forth. Now, it had already been decided that it was going to a 5-day program, but I thought that they had a legitimate concern about not having time to meet with parents. That is a legitimate concern. And so I asked the person from early ed, from central office, now, making no promises, wouldn't it be fair, wouldn't it be appropriate for there to be some money, some funding for parent conferences? And the person said, yes, that would be appropriate, right? Because it would, it's legitimate. And they went back and they looked, and now there is money. And so I would suggest that you let your principals know that they can contact central office, they can get money, and your SRLDP teachers can be supported by having time to meet with parents, paid time to meet with parents. And so I'm just giving that as an example of what we can do. I could not have done it if these 2 teachers had not contacted me and met with me, because I just wouldn't have known. And so it's really important. So in closing, I wanted to again pick up on something that Mr. Jenkins had said. When he said, pick the candidates and don't let them pick you. It is so important that you choose people that you believe in and that you can hold accountable. Because when you donate your time and your money and your effort and your goodwill to people, they owe you a listen. That's what they owe you. They owe you the opportunity to speak with them. And so it is important that you choose people who will do that because they owe it to you. You are giving up your time and your money to support them, and they owe you the chance to be heard. And so it's important that you demand that you remind them, and that you hold their feet to the fire. In closing, it is only together that we will make change. But together we will, because we already have. And so I ask that you continue to support us, you continue to support me, you continue to speak to me, because I will always continue to listen. Thank you so much.